So, your intuition might be a trauma response is probably one of the most polarizing statements I've made about intuition, but I can back it up. And that's what I'm going to do right now because I would love to save you from the pain that I have put myself through, that I see so many others doing to themselves in the name of their intuition, right? So this idea that your intuition in inverted commas might be a trauma response is about the fact that we start in the wrong place when we come into the development of our intuition, which is our connection to the language of the God mind or the universe or infinite unlimited consciousness, however you label it. We begin with the incorrect assumption that we are ready to receive our intuitive intelligence, right? And nothing could be further from the truth. Yes, intuition is innate. It is a biological function. We all have it. It's not special or magical. But in an unprepared vessel, our intuitive knowing can actually be a hotbed of our subconscious fears that are unmet, unrecognized, unrealized. And this is not because we're bad or wrong. It's just because no one is telling us what is actually required to be the prepared vessel for our intuition. All right, so I'll give you an example. Years ago, I started dating a man who was amazing. He was everything that I wanted. He was kind and generous and patient and calm. And he came into my life at a really difficult time. I was pretty traumatized by the events of my life up to that point. There'd been a period of time where a lot of things had gone differently to my expectations. And this man came along with just the most glorious energy. And we dated and it was going really well. And then I pulled the pin. I broke up with him and I was like, nope, this isn't working for me. You're not the person for me, blah, 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 blah. What was actually happening is this man was absolutely perfect for me, but I was being motivated by my subconscious fear programs. And that dominant program in me at the time was I was not approvable of, right? That was the story in my subconscious, below the level of my reasoning conscious mind. So when I broke up with this man, I was like, I'm making an intuitive choice, right? I know this is for my highest good. And I was full of shit. I was motivated by this subconscious fear program, traumatized by the recent events of my life. And basically, because my dominant belief was I am not approvable of, and this man was so approving of me, it was a contradiction to my identity. I couldn't tolerate that generous approval that he was offering me. And so I sabotaged it. Lucky for me, I was able to reclaim that relationship and move beyond that story. But it was such a powerful recognition of how we can go awry with our intuitive knowing if we've not done the work to prepare this vessel, right? So I had to do the deep self-work of meeting and releasing that fear of not being approvable and finding that self-approval. And that took time and energy and humility, but it was worth it. And so in a way, my intuition was incredibly accurate, right? I was operating from a dominant self-disapproval program. And so I was acting that out in the world and sabotaging this incredibly great relationship, calling it my intuition when really it was a trauma response. And so what I learned from that, what my intuition was trying to show me, is that I had some deep self-work to do around meeting this core wound to prepare myself to feel safe, to be approved of. And it was humbling work, as I said. But if I had simply stayed with my intuition's telling me to break up with this man because he's no good for me, I would have missed my own spiritual growth and I would be without that really wonderful relationship. So we begin in the Institute training intuition through the lens of a trauma-informed nervous system fitness process that helps us to meet and release our subconscious fear programs Otherwise, we're going to be making choices all over the place that we will label our intuition, which is actually that subconscious fear trying to get its identity fulfilled, right? And this is no good. This is not the ground to access our deepest states of intuition. But the benefit of these fears rising is that that is a form of intuition. We just have to be able to discern the difference between I should take action on this, aka break up this relationship, or actually this intuition is guiding me home to meet my own wounds so I can continue to evolve, right? And this is the work. So we use this intersection of energy psychology, trauma-informed practice, combined with quantum physics to help us meet our highest intelligence, which is intuitive intelligence. And we must begin with the body. The body is the technology of our intuition. And we have to prepare this vessel so that we don't make choices from dysregulation, from a heightened state that we think is our intuition, right? We all have that, I'm sure, that regret where we've like, oh my God, it's my intuition leading me to this. And we spend 10 grand on a coach we can't afford, or doing something rash that goes against our best interests. And then we go, oh my God, my intuition was so wrong. No, your intuition was absolutely on point. It was trying to draw your attention to the fact that there is an unmet subconscious fear program that is blocking access to your highest form of intelligence. And instead of doing the work, we think it's like, hey, yeah, go out and buy this thing that you don't need, or do this reckless action to destroy or delay your life, right? None of that is where our intuition will lead us. But if we're looking to develop our intuition to get some kind of guarantee that will avoid any discomfort, that will avoid anything going wrong, that will always get the right answer, then we have missed the point. Intuition is a way for us to evolve spiritually when we're doing it in the highest way. It is a way for us to map our own evolution, our consciousness. And so we will often get more uncomfortable before we reach that beautiful place of making our peace with and our home in the growth zone, right? But intuition is not about your comfort. It is about your evolution. And so it will not leave you hanging around in the comfort zone. And that's why we'll often externalize our intuition, right? We'll say it's telling us to break up with someone, or sell the house, or, try this radical new diet, or whatever other rash action, because we don't want to go inwards. We want to imagine that something outside of us, if I just end this relationship, if I just move to another state, if I just buy this thing I can't afford, then I'll have what I need, right? Intuition leads us deeper within, not further out. And that's why we have to make our home in that prepared vessel. We have to feel safe to do the deep work of deep intuitive knowing. This is the cornerstone of intuitive intelligence. It's everything that we specialize in. And so when you train your intuition with the Institute, we will spend a lot of time with that body up, bottom up approach of creating safety in the body, of meeting and releasing subconscious fear, of creating that nervous system fitness so that we can discern the difference between a trauma response and actual intuitive knowing. This is what we stand for. This is the only ethical way for us to go into developing our intuition. And so often we use intuition as an effort to band-aid what we don't want to feel. And that is not fair. It's doing an injustice to our intuition. It's doing an injustice to our own lives. And then we blame our intuition for being wrong, for going awry, when in fact we were simply not willing to look at what it actually wanted us to know, which is not which boy should I marry, or where should I live, or what should I buy, but the humility to sit at the feet of our shadows. Developing intuition is deep shadow work. It is not about getting high on crystals or oracle cards or being able to discern something for someone else's life. It is a way home to our truth, beyond our traumas, beyond our lived experiences that have made us feel less of who we are. Intuitive intelligence is rare, it is exceptional, but it is our birthright, and it simply needs the right conditions to flourish. And it's not our fault that most of the spiritual industry is selling us short in this regard. I am going to share more information about how you can develop your intuitive intelligence with the Institute through this trauma-informed, ethical lens that is about you becoming your own oracle, not to get guarantees that life will never be hard, but rather to know how to meet and release your upper limits to become the most amplified, most glorious version of yourself. That is what I wanted to share with you today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you again very soon.